Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the four card of fights for UFC Fight Night, KaraFrance versus Albazi. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Maxim Grishin versus Felipe Lins. And how I feel about this one right here is average confidence, Maxim Grishin. I feel like Felipe Lins got a little bit of confidence riding behind him, but it's like false confidence. He came that way. He beat OSP, who don't even want to fight no more, so that don't really mean much of nothing. And he beat Prashnio, who really got a bunch of little powerful kicks, but no hands, no real defense, and he really did pressure him and just kept tagging him. The guy had no defense, so he didn't really beat nobody. I feel like Maxim Grishin has fought the better competition. I think between the two of these fighters, I think Maxim Grishin is the more complete fighter. I don't really rate Felipe Lins' takedown. I don't really rate his grappling all that much. I think Grishin has fought him better, beat him better. I feel like he should be able to stuff a takedown. If Felipe Lins really wants to go that route, I feel like it's more so just going to tire Felipe Lins down because he's not built like that. That's not his style. And anytime you try to do anything that's not your style, and then you're not really super trained to do, and you haven't really executed it frequently in your career, especially not recently, it's just not going to be there for you as much. Maybe you could hope to score one takedown and that shift the narrative of the fight or in a close fight. But ultimately, I think Maxim Grishin is going to just pick his shots better, land the cleaner shots, and just take advantage of Felipe Lins' over-aggressive strikes. When Felipe Lins gets sloppy, maybe counter, maybe hurt him at times. They look to maybe just get the underhooks and land some toe stomps, elbow some knees and stuff, elbow some thighs, quads, and whatnot. And really just land the cleaner shots and make the better decisions out there. I feel like Felipe Lins is not a guy that's not technically, but not a guy that typically makes the best decisions out there. I feel like he kind of fights off just aggression a lot of times, and I feel like Grishin is going to take that aggression and use it against him. I feel like a stoppage is possible, but the fact that Grishin is kind of up there in age and both guys kind of a little bit up there in age, I see this more as a decision. It's going to probably end up being a hug fest at times, but I think Grishin going to land the cleaner, sharper shots when they are striking. And then I think in the clinch, he'll probably be more freaking and landing the more definitive shots in the clinch, in at distance, in that, boxing range, kicking roll, more so boxing range. I think this is going to be more boxing range than kicking range, but nonetheless, Grishin having the more effective work, and over the course of the fight, that paying off over the course of the fight. So in this one, I have Maxim Grishin via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Luan Larseda versus Damon Blackshear. And how I feel about this one right here is go on Damon Blackshear, low confidence. Luan Larseda is a promising prospect. Then Blackshear is a promising prospect as well. What am I saying? As well. He's only 29, and I think Larseda is 30. So Blackshear is actually the younger fighter by a little bit. And I think he has the better strength of schedule. He has 3 more losses, but I think overall I feel like his competition has been better than Larseda. I think Larseda has his first real solid competition with Cody Stamann, but I think Blackshear has been fighting, good competition for a minute now. And I think Blackshear is the better striker from what I've seen, the more effective striker, the more damaging striker. And I think he's the more crafty and stronger grappler between the two. I think Larseda maybe could push a better pace, but I think Blackshear is more crafty. And I think, again, with that experience against higher level competition, I think he'll do better in the scrambles, make better adjustments out there. And I think he'll be able to get it done in the decision. I think he'll be able to get it done in a decision over Larseda. I think, like I said, make the better scrambles, be more crafty out there on the feet, in the clinch, and in the grappling department. But I think this is a very close fight. But I think Damon Blackshear, again, makes the better adjustments out there, using that experience and using that strength. And I think he gets a victory over Larseda. So in this one, I have Damon Blackshear via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Jinyu Frey versus Elise Reed. And how I feel about this one right here is I got Elise Reed to win this one. Average confidence to beat Jinyu Frey. Jinyu Frey's getting up there in age, pushing 40. Elise Reed is just entering her prime. Jinyu Frey hasn't really shown a good mixed martial arts skill set, to be honest, at least as far as in the UFC, from what I've seen. More so just a striker. Can be outpaced even by a fighter who doesn't have the best striking, like against Demopoulos. Demopoulos, she got one takedown or no takedown. I think she went for a couple, didn't get any, I think, or really didn't get nothing effective with her grappling off. But just been aggressive and outworking her. She beat her. It wasn't the case she was so technical. She was just swinging shots, and that was enough to edge Jinyu Frey. I think Elise Reed is a much cleaner striker than Demopoulos. Grappling obviously not her forte, but I think she's definitely a cleaner striker than Demopoulos is. right in her prime or right entering her prime. And I think it is a case of like momentum. Like you got a fighter entering their prime, you got a fighter that's about to enter their 40s. I think Elise Reed can pick her shots well, and I think she can outwork a pushing 40 Jinyu Frey, and I think she could beat her in a decision victory. So in this one, I have Elise Reed via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz Jr. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Daniel Santos, average confidence to beat Johnny Munoz Jr. I feel like Johnny Munoz Jr. could be the busier fighter, but I don't feel like he'll be the more effective fighter. I feel like Santos should be able to stuff his takedowns and be able to hold his own in the grappling, if not out-grapple Munoz Jr. You know, especially when you add in the fact that this is an MMA setting, not a pure grappling setting, and, you know, everything combines, especially if it's close, like you're striking close, a grappling could easily shift you over the top to have a striking advantage, because now your opponent's worried about your takedowns. If you got slight grappling advantage or a slight grappling disadvantage, your strikes can, you know, maybe wear your opponent down. Now you can have the edge in takedowns, because now they're, you know, player B now, because you set an offense now, you got them on the back, but now your takedowns open up. So close enough fight everywhere. But I think Daniel Santos just has the more effective strikes. I feel like Munoz Jr. Munoz Jr. to me, to be honest, I feel as far as striking wise, and really in general in this fight, I feel like his best chance is this decision. Like if he can hope to mix in his strikes and maybe take advantage of Santos' forward pressure and score takedowns and just take time off the clock, get control time and win a decision, or maybe look to this draw up volume from distance and get a decision that way, or a combination of the two. But I feel like Daniel Santos has the true finishing potential, whether it be submission or TKO. I'm leaning more TKO. I feel like Munoz Jr. early on going to be able to control the range, or at least kind of sit at range a little bit, you know, and maybe draw up more volume. But I think Santos is going to be the one landing the more effective strikes, digging into his body, drawing the shots, like punching through him, kicking through him, whereas Munoz is just touching with like slapping with his feet, slapping with his punches, but Santos like digging with his shots. And I feel like his shots will, like, you know, pay more dividends over time. Like Santos could probably look fresh after all Munoz is doing. But Munoz getting dug into his body with kicks, dug into his leg, get hit with clean shots. I feel that all those shots that Santos have, those actual effective, committed shots, I feel like those will wear on Munoz Jr. And then I think Santos starts to pile up on, and when it's, you know, Munoz starts to wilt due to the pressure and power of Santos, I think he gets put away in the second round. So in this one, I have Daniel Santos via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Andre Arlovsky versus Dante Mays. And how I see one right here, I'm going Arlovsky, low competence here. This really, at this point, if Mays really wants to stick around in the UFC or have any hopes of being anything better than what he has been in the UFC, this would be the moment where, you know, he should come through and find a way to win. And there's definitely ways to win. Like he could eke by on a matter of fact, this fight easily could go either way in a close split decision. Potentially, like Mays somehow just like works extra hard, gets a takedown, and, you know, Arlovsky old and got old hips and struggles to get back to his feet a little bit. Or maybe Mays just finds an opportunistic, this perfect time submission, like not like he's so technical with it, but like maybe Arlovsky just makes a technical mistake because he's not respecting Mays, and Mays is able to like, oh, he gave me his neck and jumps on it and get a rear naked choke, something crazy like that. Like stuff like that, crazy, like this perfect scenario. Arlovsky not respecting him, he gets a sub on him because he's not respecting him. Or like a perfect scenario, like Mays is just like able to score that last takedown or score those two takedowns and eke out a decision over Arlovsky. Or maybe it's just a close fight and these guys doing really much damage, so it's a low output fight, and then it's just like, oh, you split decision Mays. And Arlovsky has lost like 2 fights due to low output on both ends that he really won. I think Walt Harris was one of them. Then who else was it? I think Augusto Sakai, I believe. Yeah, he lost 2 fights that he really won. So definitely that's a possibility, but I can't lean to Dante Mays. Like as far as who I feel should win, who's the better overall fighter, I would say Arlovsky. I feel like Arlovsky really ain't got no issues with Mays wrestling. It's not like Mays is some real high level wrestler or anything, so Arlovsky should be to stuff his takedowns. Matter of fact, Mays be taking himself down. He be getting more takedowns on himself than he be scoring takedowns, unless he fighting Parisian or something. But nonetheless, I feel like Arlovsky's the better overall fighter, and I feel like the biggest edge that a younger fighter like Mays should have is power. But Mays, through to this point, has not shown to be a heavy hitter. Like he's an unusual fighter at heavyweight. Haven't seen him like rock, wobble, or really hurt anyone with his shots. I've seen him be able to outwork some fighters like Parisian, who got no cardio. You know, be able to use his length on a guy like Roque Martinez, who like 5'6" at heavyweight, and just use that length and still have a close fight with him. So yeah, a guy that don't really have much power, don't really have no real like skill, like he don't got no real wrestling, no real BJJ. He's kind of at a loss. So Arlovsky at this point, even though he's getting up in age, still should be able to beat Mays. I feel like he should be able to out wrestle Mays should be able to outstrike Mays, out clinch Mays, and just use his veteran experience without the threat of a guy that really has true knockout power. He got respected like everybody is heavyweight at the end of the day. All it takes is the punch landing on the right spot and you asleep, but respect his power to the minimum. Mix your combination, outbox him, clinch him up, score takedowns, do the Arlovsky veteran moves. Like I said, do your combination into the clinch, tie it with him, foot stomps, slap the knee, punch him in the body, and just outwork Dante Mays and use that veteran experience. He's up in age, but Mays really ain't got no threats for him. So in this one, I have Andre Arlovsky via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got John Castaneda versus Muin Gafurov. And I'm going with Muin Gafurov here. That's a bantamweight division. But anyway, I got Muin Gafurov here. Average confidence to beat John Castaneda. I think Castaneda's a solid fighter, but I just don't feel like he has any real outstanding skills. I feel like Muin Gafurov is the better wrestler. I feel like he's the better striker. I feel like the best thing Castaneda can do is make this a dogfight, and hopefully it comes out in his favor, or hopefully just outwork Muin Gafurov. But I feel like as far as skill for skill, I think Gafurov has him covered everywhere. I think he's the more technical striker. I feel like he's the more dynamic striker. He has fought better competition, has beaten better competition. So yeah, Castaneda's best hope is to outwork him or make it a dogfight and hopefully knock him out or something like that. But what I see in this fight, I think Castaneda's pace might be a little bit higher, but I think Muin Gafurov will land the more effective shots and ultimately control the pace. Like, you might be doing more work, but Gafurov controlling the pace, setting the tone, and really leading Castaneda into shots. And really like this playing chess when Castaneda's playing checkers or playing whack-a-mole, I guess. Trying to go out there, be aggressive, trying to make it a scrap when Gafurov is, being more technical out there and making him pay for his lack of technique. I think Gafurov puts him away in the second round. So in this one, I have Muin Gafurov via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the welterweight division. We got Elizazaleski dos Santos. Well, it's just Elizazaleski now in the welterweight division versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. And Elizazaleski's, where's my confidence with this one? I'm going to go average confidence of Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I'm kind of all over the place with this particular prediction. Not in how I feel about the fight, but, I don't know why. I'm going back and forth. Like, I'm saying the names, I'm saying the weight class, I'm saying this, but let's lock in. But I'm going average confidence of Abubakar Nurmagomedov to beat Elizazaleski. Elizazaleski isn't like 37, 38. Like, he ain't quite there yet. I think he's like 35, 36. So he's kind of like peeking over, but he's not there yet. And he's kind of been a little bit absent. I think, like 2 years now he's been absent. Whereas Abubakar Nurmagomedov has been active. I feel like Abubakar Nurmagomedov is sitting right in his prime, I think. And Elizazaleski is kind of sitting right at the end, or pretty much right at the end of his prime, or a little bit past it. But nonetheless, I still feel like that's a dangerous age still. So you can't just say, oh, he's 40 years old. Abubakar got this locked in. But I do like Abubakar's activity. I do like the fact that I have been seeing Abubakar improve overall as a striker, as a grappler, and overall fighter. And I think he also has probably even had the chance to train with Bilal Dariush. I mean Bilal Muhammad and some other good fighters. And, so I feel he's been training with the right people and making the right improvements. And I've been seeing it in his fights. And so that activity and those improvements, I got to lean to Abubakar Nurmagomedov here. I feel like it'll still be a scrappy, hard fight. It's definitely not going to be an easy fight, but I feel like it's going to be a fight he's going to be able to eke out in a close decision over Elizazaleski. I feel like he's going to respect his BJJ enough so that he don't get caught by nothing on the ground. And I feel like he'll be able to outpace Elizazaleski and threaten with the takedowns and keep Zaleski honest and keep him, on the responsive. Like, press the pace, put the forward pressure on there, threaten the takedowns, whether he's getting them or not, and just putting up the volume and really trying to force Zaleski on the back foot. And, off the back foot, Zaleski does got those spinning kicks, but maybe force those spinning back kicks out of him, spinning hook kicks out of him, then take his back when he's spinning and put him on the mat. And like I said, get points, get control time. And just fight a smart fight, but it's going to be a competitive, hard fight. Zaleski is not no easy fight for no one at all. But I just think Abubakar Nurmagomedov has the better momentum. He's in the right spot right now. He's showing improvement. And Zaleski coming in here rusty, and you're only getting older at this point. It's not like he's coming in like he's been inactive. Now he's 32, or he's been active and he's 30 or 33 or even 34. He's like inactive and he's like 36. So not a bad age, but not a great age is all I would say. So I'm trusting Abubakar's improvements in activity over Zaleski's, past glory in inactivity. So in this one, I have Abubakar. I said Abubakar. So in this one, I have Abubakar Nurmagomedov via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our first fight on the main card in the lightweight division, we got Jamie Malarkey versus Muhammad-Jan Naimov in the lightweight division, if I didn't already say it before. But anyway, here I'm going high confidence Jamie Malarkey to going high confidence Jamie Malarkey to beat Muhammad-Jan Naimov. I feel like Muhammad-Jan Naimov is pretty limited. I feel he's a well-rounded fighter, but I feel like he's like not a fully fleshed out. Like you could have wrestling, you could have you have your grappling there, you have your striking there. But I feel like as a striker, I feel like he's still more so a Taekwondo fighter and hasn't really fleshed out to be a full-fledged striker. Decent kicks, nothing phenomenal. Not the best experience, not the best track record at all. I feel like Jamie Malarkey has better competition, beat better competitions, far more experience, far more fleshed out as a fighter on the feet. And Malarkey ain't just like some scrub. He's a pretty technical striker, and I feel like a far more fleshed out striker. I feel like Naimov, I feel like Malarkey can shut off his kicks, put on the forward pressure, bully him in the clinch, tag him and counter his kicks with punches. And, inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks. Like I said, to show that more developed, fleshed out game that this is a high level fighter in Malarkey. Like underrated fighter for sure. And I think he likes to press the pace, put him on the back foot, counter his kicks, get into the clinch, land knees, elbows, and really make it a smothering effect. And I think he can get him out of there in the first round. So just bully him through the first, get in that clinch, and then start to make him carry your weight with knees, elbows, clinch work, and then put him away first round. So in this one, I have Jamie Malarkey via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Silva versus Caitlin Souza. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Silva, low confidence to beat Caitlin Souza. I just feel like this is like Caitlin Souza. I'm not Caitlin Souza. I feel Silva, I like her experience. She has 2 fights underneath the UFC banner, even though it's only one official UFC fight. She still had that experience in the Contender Series, so I like that versus Caitlin Souza, who doesn't have that experience. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of almost seeming like a grappler versus striking matchup. Silva, the grappler, Caitlin Souza, the striker. But I'm leaning to the experience of Silva. But it's so much like that you just don't know on Caitlin Souza yet. So it can't be like, oh, high confidence this. Like we don't know who Caitlin Souza is yet. And judging based on what I've seen from her, she looks pretty good. But I'm not really respecting competition. Beat a lot of 40-year-old women. So I'm not really liking that experience. So I'm leaning to the more experienced fighter. But she does look good on the feet. She does look crisp. I said crisp. She be crip walking. She does look crisp and whatnot. Look dynamic on the striking. But I haven't seen enough in the grappling department. And also I have not seen enough against relevant competition. So I'm going to lean to Silva's experience against relevant competition. And expecting her to show improvements in her striking and her grappling. This experience, improvements overall, being in the UFC, now having 2 fights, again, underneath the banner, whether it be one fight in the Contender Series and one fight in the UFC. So I'm expecting improvement from her. And I'm expecting Caitlin Souza, to show some of her flair. But I think this is going to be a fight where she's just going to get, introduced to the learning curve. But I feel she's definitely a fighter, just based on what I've seen from her, the little bit I've seen from her, she can make improvements and, go on to be a pretty good fighter. But I think this is like her first fight in the UFC is going to be a fight she loses. But yeah, I'm going Silva, second round sub. Fill out process in the first. Caitlin Souza going to be a little bit more dynamic in that first round. But Silva probably going to be to get her down and towards the middle part of that fight and start to wear on her in the second round. Be to follow what she did in the first round and be to get a takedown a little bit easier now. And then be to wear her down and stuff and then tap her out second round. So in this one, I have Silva via second round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the flyweight division. We got Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Tim Elliott. I was going low at first, but I'm going to go average confidence Tim Elliott. I feel like Victor Altamirano, he's definitely a guy that can pull off an upset. He just has that look to him. Like he's a fighter that's not a phenomenal striker, not a phenomenal grappler, not even a guy that you really even give a second look. But the fact that you sleep on a little bit and the fact that he's so awkward and so weird, the guy can out of nowhere pull out some weird knockout. He could pull out some weird submission. He could pull out some scrappy out of nowhere decision victory. It's also like Tim Elliott, like I'm such a stud. Like I'm such a stud. I'm such a high IQ fighter. I'm gonna crack this dude with an overhand, blast double slam on the mat, pass the half guard. What they call it, the lockdown position, punch him in the rib a little bit, hammer fist him in the jaw a little bit, and ride out these times and like really make him carry my weight. And I'm not going there to flash. I'm going there I know how to win. I'm gonna let him make a mistake. Go Khabib, go Randy Couture, go these guys that have had success and over long periods of time and stuff. Grappling approaches. But I feel like Tim Elliott is the better grappler, better striker. But again, Tim Elliott ain't like that solid dude who like going to use fight and make his opponent work and go for low risk, I guess, high success rate style. He's not that guy. He's a guy that can lose fights, these positions, or lose these fights, give up positions, and lose to guys like Morano on I guess, a good night for Morano, bad night for Elliott. But yeah, this is a fight Elliott should win. I'm gonna go with decision victory. I definitely feel he could finish him, but I'm gonna lean decision. I feel Morano's takedown defense isn't the best, actually pretty terrible. So Elliott should be able to score takedowns at will on him. Elliott got good cardio. He's a good veteran of the game. Like I said, he can finish TKO or sub. I'm leaning the decision victory here. I thought Morano will be game and make this fight more competitive than it should be. Also, Elliott allowing this fight to be more competitive than it should be. But ultimately, I think Tim Elliott is clearly the better fighter overall, and I think he will be able to win the striking battles, win the grappling battles, and control the pace of this fight, and ultimately win this fight. So in this one, I have Tim Elliott via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, we got Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon, and how I feel about this one right here. I'm going average confidence Jared Gordon. If it was not for the getting knocked out by headbutt in his last fight, that was like a week or two ago, it'd probably be high confidence Jared Gordon. But the fact that he did get headbutt KO'd in a DQ, well not DQ, no contest, and he's returning so fast, that does add concern. But I like Jared Gordon in this spot. Also, his stories, he did beat Selecki, who beat Jim Miller. And also, we kind of get in a little bit high on Jim Miller. Well, not me, some other people. I mean, I respect Jim Miller. I'm like, he's definitely a solid guy and he definitely be respected. But I feel maybe, I mean, Gordon is still the favorite, I think. At one point, Jim Miller was the favorite. But yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't even need to say that. If Gordon's favorite, no need to say this. But yeah, I think, yeah, Jim Miller's been looking solid against some guys and whatnot. But I look back to the Pachel fight and I look back to the Selecki fight where Miller is a guy that can be drowned by pace at this age in his career, at this point in his career. The guy's pushing 40. And a lot of guys pushing 40 can just lose purely to being outworked, been outpositioned. And like when I look at Selecki, when I look at the Selecki fight and I look at the Pachel fight that Miller lost, I feel like he lost purely due to aging. Like he was reduced to, if I could take you down in this fight or in this round, I could hold you down the rest of this round. You take me down, you call me down. Like in the first round against Pachel, he was like pretty much doing whatever he wanted to Pachel, except finishing him and hurt him. Like he was taking him down, dominating him in the grappling positions. But then after that point, Pachel just started to come on and Miller just faded. Like he just faded. Like he didn't have the energy to have a high paced fight. Same with Selecki fight. It was like, I take you down this round, I hold you down the whole round. I took you down, I hold you down this whole round. And Selecki was able to hold him down 2 rounds. Miller was able to hold him down 1 round. Lost the fight. Similar, same thing with both of those fights. Now I feel like Gordon is a solid enough guy. He was able to beat Selecki in that type of fight where he was able to take Selecki down. He's confident enough everywhere. Really what has been stifling Gordon over his career is his chin, getting knocked out for the most part, or going there with guys that are just more skilled than him. And I don't think Miller at this point is more skilled than him, or at least he's not at the capacity to fully utilize the skill, being a guy that's up there in age. So anyway, I just feel like Jared Gordon is a guy that has one of the best pace pound for pound in MMA right now. Not saying he's one of the best guys in MMA pound for pound, but as far as pace and drawing up volume, I think barring significant strikes, when you look at this total strikes, I think this guy, when he does go rounds, like at least 2 rounds, I think he has always averages over like 100 over 100 total strikes. So the guy pushes a good pace and he has a good work rate. And he's like in his prime versus Miller, who's up there in age. So I feel like Gordon can score takedowns on Miller. I feel like he's competent enough in the grappling to be able to defend the submissions of Miller and ultimately outgrind him and beat him in a decision victory. So in this one, I have Jared Gordon via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, we got Alex Caceres versus Daniel Pineda. And how I feel about this one is I'm going Caceres, low confidence. I feel like Pineda could definitely just manhandle Caceres. Like Caceres has been manhandled several times in his career, like just straight up manhandled and finished. One of them being against Kron Gracie, not to say it was just pure manpower and whatnot and not skill, but it definitely in case he's a guy who could be manhandled. Pineda does got that dash strength right now. He does have underrated grappling. He did go to a draw in grappling with Grant Dawson, who's a pretty solid prospect in the lightweight division. Like not too long ago, he went to a decision in grappling, not in MMA. I think MMA he probably get finished by Grant Dawson, but in BJJ he went to a draw with Dawson. So that's something to note. But I'm going against Caceres here, not with a whole lot of confidence, obviously. I'm expecting him to use his length, be dynamic, and make this an MMA fight and not make it a grappling fight so much, at least not early. Use his length, put up volume, be dynamic, be creative, being crafty, be unorthodox, and frustrate Pineda early, and make this more of a striking matchup until he starts to really maybe hurt Pineda or wear Pineda down, then maybe be more so willing to engage in the grappling, or maybe wear Pineda down with his distant strikes and crafty strikes. Mix it high-low, punching kneecaps, stepping on toes, front kicks to the body, spinning back kick, jumping switch kicks, double punching. Just be Alex Caceres, be creative. And then as Pineda wears down, gets frustrated a little bit, starts to overcommit to some takedowns, then maybe start to use his grappling attempts to create your own grappling opportunities. But I'm going to say submission. And I feel this general submission will probably cash whether Pineda. I feel if Pineda wins, probably be sub. And I feel like Caceres can definitely win a sub here. And I'm going to say third round sub for Caceres. Very close fight, but Caceres been more dynamic, maybe hurting him with some weird stuff like spinning back fists. Just some unorthodox stuff. Like I can't even put into words fully. Caceres just throws anything out there. Like I'm not saying he does it out there just like he don't know what he's throwing, but definitely to the viewer and to the opponent, like you really don't know what this guy gonna throw next. So I feel like he can definitely frustrate Pineda with that. And then very close fight. Pineda trying to use his physicality on Caceres, but Caceres just been using his dynamic style to wear on Pineda. Then third round, I feel like he capitalized on maybe a hurt Pineda or maybe a frustrated Pineda trying to force a grappling exchange, takes his back and start to ground and pound him, sink the hooks in and get their rear naked choke in the third round and get him out of there. So in this one, I have Alex Caceres via third round submission. Now to our main event, we have in the flyweight division, we got KaraFrance versus Amir Albazi. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence. And low confidence Amir Albazi to beat KaraFrance. And the low confidence for me is definitely justified here. I think this is a weird matchup. KaraFrance. Well, let me say first, Amir Albazi is being rushed to the spot, in my opinion. That's a scary thing. So that kind of had me shifting between the two. But ultimately, I just kind of came back to Amir Albazi. I typically like the more well-rounded fighter. And also, it's not, KaraFrance is more experienced and definitely has for better competition, which is a big factor for him, a big feather for him. In this 5-round fight, neither of these guys have really went 5 rounds as far as in the UFC. KaraFrance has fought a 5-round fight. He has trained for a 5-round fight, but I think we got finished in the 3rd or 2nd round against Brandon Morano. So he has not went 5 rounds in the UFC. He's been scheduled for it, but has not went it. And he's the more dynamic striker for sure. He mixes up more. He has strikes. He has kicks where I feel like Albazi just has punches on the feet, or at least has shown just mostly punches on the feet. But I do like the fact that Albazi can mix in the grappling, and I feel like KaraFrance more so just a defensive with his grappling. I think the only time he really goes for takedowns when he hurt. Other than that, he's not a guy that, or he's hurt or uncomfortable. That's the only time he'll go for takedowns. And that could be a bad look, especially against a guy as well-rounded as Amir Albazi. So I'm leaning Amir Albazi to mix it up. And also, you can say, KaraFrance does so well against grapplers. But I feel every single time, one fighting against Bonnerin, he just landed that big shot. I mean, it wasn't luck, but he was getting dominated in grappling. And for that short fight, he found that big shot on the feet, was able to knock Bonnerin out. But he was definitely struggling in the grappling department against the Russian dude he fought. And if I was the judge, I would lean the Russian dude who had beaten him. And definitely was around that period where Russians were getting shafted in close decisions. So, yeah, it's not like he has a clear track record where he's just such this good scrambler, such this counter grappler. He's not that. So, I'm leaning to the more well-rounded fighter in Amir Albazi to be able to keep the striking totals close, make it a scrappy dog fight, back and forth fight. But I'm trusting Amir Albazi to be able to mix in the takedowns, and his grappling being the edge in this fight that will get him over in a close fight. And I see this going 5 rounds. And I see Amir Albazi getting his hand raised. And I see the fight goes on later. I see him having more success with his takedowns, being able to take time off the clock, get that control time, maybe even work for some ground and pound and some submission, establish some dominance. But a very close fight. But again, I'm leaning to the more well-rounded fighter to mix it up and make a close fight, lean in his favor ever so slightly, and get his hand raised in a decision victory. So in this one, I have Amir Albazi via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the 4 card of fights for UFC Fight Night, KaraFrance versus Albazi. And as always, thanks for watching.